Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video. I don't know. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video. It is a very nice way to be able to help out the channel, and you also help out the algorithm, and it's also free. So, you know, it's nice. Tell me what your favorite coin is, what everyone should be buying right now, what coin you think. Because there is one. Tell me what coin you think is going to do a 10, 20, or 30x this bull run. Because it sounds ridiculous. But there will be multiple coins that actually end up doing it. We'll only see that at the actual end of the actual bull run. What this might be a bit different, but it does make sense. The calculations are insane. But I dare say that it looks like there's a possibility that we could actually go there. Have you ever seen any of the charts that show like Bitcoin adoption? They were more popular years ago. I don't know what happened to them, but they were more popular years ago. They would show like Bitcoin comparatively to like the internet. So you would see, this was years ago, they would say like Bitcoin's currently in 1995. Bitcoins in 1998, like the adoption levels of how many people were buying. And it was always like ticking up higher and higher and higher, but it was nothing like significant, like that kind of thing. So we would see a couple 100,000 people are using the network daily. We're getting millions of new addresses in like, half a year period. And those disappeared, I guess, because the interest and the actual adoption skyrocketed as far as, hearing companies say you can buy socks with Bitcoin. You can buy a car with Bitcoin. We're buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin. We're buying $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. We, as one company, are trying to acquire 1 million Bitcoin. That kind of thing. Like, the generalized idea for a lot of this within crypto has been the assumption that if we continue in this direction, similar to the internet, Bitcoin and crypto will be everywhere. Not somewhere. It'll be like a very strongly integrated part into our financial system. Did you see the other videos before where we were talking about being able to invest, 401ks, being able to invest in Bitcoin? That's integration. Being able to pay for mortgages or down payments for homes in Bitcoin. That's integration. Banks buying it, banks using it. The last real step is kind of hearing that and I mean this is like the end, is hearing that a country is using Bitcoin for like the creation of their new currency, like gold standard for Bitcoin. But we're like edging along a lot faster than people care to pay attention to, want to actually acknowledge. I think a lot of people like the way that things are, and I think many people don't understand the actual ramifications of what it would mean if the US dollar disappeared and was replaced by Bitcoin. There's this really weird assumption that things would kind of be the same, but the concentration of wealth would also be completely askewed in your favor as you are an early adopter. Basically leaving everyone else with minuscule amounts. Just pay attention because it's going to start to make more sense. Remember how I told you before, we are going to live on so one of my saddest things noticing about adulthood is how few people care and how few people listen. You might be here listening, but also if you've ever seen before, my videos don't get millions of views. So I can tell you until the cows turn blue, when Bitcoin in 2016, when I made the other channel, The Modern Investor, that Bitcoin was going to go up when Bitcoin was at $900. How many people actually listened? If Bitcoin's at $100,000 and I say we're going to $120,000, how many people listened? If Bitcoin's at $180,000, and I'm like, it's kind of clear in the short term, long term, Bitcoin's going to 1 million. How many people are going to listen? But at that point, it's already too late for the general public. We went over that. If the normal person right now cannot afford 0.01 Bitcoin now, they have no chance. When Bitcoin's at a literal million US dollars, it is like completely out of the scope. As we see more accumulation of Bitcoin from you and from wealthy individuals, from banks and from governments, Bitcoin becomes scarcer. As Bitcoin becomes scarcer and the halving keeps happening, it becomes more precious, if you will, to own any amount of Bitcoin. There's an analyst, and I saw this and I was like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. But the majority of people only pay attention when it's too late for things to happen. Like it's kind of like the internet adoption curve. The very beginning of the internet, you were able to, for those of you who don't know, you were able to buy like website, like URLs, like, you know, website names, 50 cents, $1. Some of them were even free. There were websites where you could buy them for free. No one really wanted them. People didn't see the value. Why would a web domain? No, I have an address, but thank you for your really weird nerd digital thing. They take off. Some of these websites are worth $10,000, $15,000. People were still not buying them. There are website domain names that are worth hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. It's about the adoption curve. It's about the adoption of the internet as well. A lot of people, how many, do you remember? I remember everyone young who I knew was surfing the web, but there were a lot of other people who just didn't use it. They saw no value in it. And now, and I say this in a very nice way, how many of you, when you're taking the bus, the train, when you're in a plane, do you see like older people? They all have smartphones. They're all like tapping away on their phones. It's because like that's the adoption curve. There's an analyst, or rather, he's a crypto analyst. His name is Cole Walmsley, Walmsley. He believes that we are rapidly throwing ourselves in the direction of a Bitcoin for everything standard. So this basically is kind of the same exact idea that every Bitcoin maximalist has. And as I mentioned before, we're probably heading in that direction because this is the way that everything is currently moving. If all the money in the world, and this isn't the debt, if all, so that is to say, if even debt was denominated in Bitcoin, if we get to a point where Bitcoin becomes the literal standard for money, moving around, value, what have you, he argues, if you have here's the crazy part. So it's no longer 0.28. Do you remember 0.28? About 4, 5, 6 years ago, there was an analyst who came forward and he said, if you have 0.28 Bitcoin, you are part of the 1% of Bitcoin holders. Logically, if everyone's buying it and all these companies have a huge amount of it, if you have just around a fourth of a Bitcoin, you're wealthy. Future wealthy, but also like Bitcoin wealthy. You get it? Like it is impossible for multiple people to have more than you. The 0.28 changes quite quickly when you have a company saying, we want 5 Bitcoin. Then they want 1,000 Bitcoin. Then they want 100,000 Bitcoin. Now they want 1 million Bitcoin. There's a huge difference. A huge amount of coins have permanently left the table. Years ago, when we had this many people in crypto, having a quarter of a Bitcoin meant you had solidified your place in the wealth of history. This guy says if you have 0.01 Bitcoin, he says if Bitcoin, without having to read through the entire thing, if Bitcoin continues on this direction, absorbing more and more wealth, we can create an infinite amount of fiat. We can keep printing money, but we cannot make an infinite amount of Bitcoin. if Bitcoin absorbs over the next couple of decades all the money on the planet, if we see that the US dollar has collapsed, and then the yen's not looking too hot, and then that's not looking too good, I don't want to put my money into that. And more companies begin to sell their gold and their silver. Were you here before? For the company who announced they're selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate, can you guess where they're putting it? Into Bitcoin. He says 0.01 Bitcoin, 1 million Satoshis, 1/100th of a Bitcoin would be worth nearly, he has this number, but I'm going to round it out. It's a lot easier. $500,000. If Bitcoin does continue on this trajectory and it becomes what we know as a global standard for wealth. $500,000 for 0.01. And I'm going to tell, and I mentioned this recently as well. I know sometimes people have issues with the things that I say, or I try not to make things too abstract at all. It's not that things are complicated. It's just more of a, I give it to you as it is. If we are on this path and you are hearing that the richest nation on the planet is going to be buying up a huge amount of this asset, if you hear that BlackRock, the company that owns the universe, is on their way to 1 million Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know, by the time we get to October, November, BlackRock is going to have 1 million Bitcoin. That will be a less than 2-year period that it took them to get there. Grayscale has a lot of Bitcoin. What's the other one? MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is nearing 700,000 Bitcoin in about 2.5 years. See logic. If we just continue on this trajectory at this pace, what would logically happen by the year 2030? There would literally be no Bitcoin left. I said that before and people go, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm sorry that you can't count or don't know numbers. I don't really know how to help you with that like basic education kind of thing. But we are nearing this point where we are hearing governments say we're buying some. Universities, school, governments, countries, cities, all announcing this. The last real point is just basically seeing A, that there's none left on exchanges, and B, having someone be like, well, this is the new thing that we're basing our new currency on. As the halvings keep happening, unless Bitcoin remains on exchanges, the price will go up. The higher the price goes up, the more new companies will start to buy. We already have hundreds. In case you missed it at some point, they're going to continue coming because they want all of it, because they see that there's not a lot left. That's how we get there. And the craziest part, the actual bonkers here, once again, for those of you not keeping track, the average everyday person does not have $500 in their bank account. This needs to be reiterated because people forget these things very quick. I think a lot of times I don't know. If that's not your social circle, if it doesn't involve you, you don't really think that way. The vast majority of the planet, it can never have as much money as you. Even more people can never have as much crypto as you. If the average person right now doesn't have 1,000 to spend, they're not going to buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin. If you have 0.28 Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to $100 million, you are then one of the wealthiest people on the planet. Everyone with me? Yeah. So I like these things. I like these kind of like numbers where people talk about a lot of these eventualities is what I like to call them. And I say that simply going over the news every single day, seeing the way that the world is moving. I know that a lot of times it sounds ridiculous or like kind of like out there to say these things. I remember, last point, I remember Ether being 50 cents and people being like, the idea of Ethereum going to $100, no, the market cap would have to be way too high. No, I don't think it's possible for Bitcoin to actually go over $1 million per Bitcoin. No, $10,000, like its market cap would be worth more than some of the largest companies on the planet. I don't know if it's lack of foresight. I don't know if it's it's not even belief. You don't have to have belief that the US dollar is crumbling. We can see it actively in real time. You don't have to have belief that New York is going to get more expensive. It's New York City. It's the most expensive real estate on the planet. It's where all the billionaires live. You don't have to have belief that Bitcoin is going to make it or take a portion of the world's wealth. It's because we're witnessing it right now. You're getting this news every 24 hours that this thing is actually taking place. So I will hopefully continue on my ever-long crusade to try to make sure that people have some amount of crypto. I cannot and will never tell you what to buy or how much to buy. I ask you to use your one of your senses, yourself, to kind of see everything that's going on around you. Yeah, I was just recently with a friend. We were talking about real estate and a multitude of other things, and he was like, I don't get it. He's like, I don't get why no one's paying attention to all of these signs that were given about money and fortunes and how to make money and how to become rich. You have all the information. You have all the information sitting in front of you right now to make a huge amount of money. It's just a matter if you actually use it so that you aren't annoyed in 2031 when everyone else is on a beach resort somewhere. Yeah, I think it's going to get there. But I think at that point, things will have shifted so much that no one will even be talking about it. But I have had that feeling for a while. It was never an entire Bitcoin for me. It was never really even 0.28. I knew that was going to hold a significant place, but I think we're entering the realm, and we'll only get there when Bitcoin's over $1 million, because that's always the magic number. People want, $1 million of something. There's a real estate show on TV. I forgot what it's called. I'm watching it on YouTube every now and again. Some of the episodes, and basically these people like making over like terrible homes, like these homes are whatever. And they're selling the homes after they've redone them for $70,000, $89,000, $95,000. And I was like, that's incredibly cheap. And then I was like, wait, like the area also looks really bad. They're rebuilding these entire like neighborhoods. You see them for $95,000, but in a couple of years, they're going to be worth $189,000, $215,000. And then people will go, I wish I had gotten a place there. And it's like, people never see the value in anything when the price is too low. They've done studies before for like even sports cars. They'll show people like beautiful cars. Yeah, this car is only, $23,000. Why is it looks nice, but why is it so cheap? I would never buy it. It seems unsafe. You show them $280,000. All of a sudden they think the manufacturing is beautiful. This, like the lines here, like, do you see how they did this? No, it's the same exact thing. Bitcoin's the same as it was 9 years ago, that it was 16 years ago, going to be the same exact thing that it will be in 25 years. The same exact protocol, the same exact thing, the same exact number on a screen, but people will value it differently. And a lot of people on the planet will have none. So don't forget, at some point, you're going to have a friend and they're going to go, hey, I got 3,000 Satoshis, and you're going to go, wow, that's terrible. I wish you had more. Yeah, interesting times ahead. I hope you've all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.